VixShield Morning Outlook, Monday, May 11th, 2026. I'm Russell Clark, and this is VixShield's Morning Outlook, where it isn't news till we talk about it. Good morning, traders. Welcome back from the weekend. Let's set the board for a brand new week of trading together. While you were sleeping, the big money was already moving. Oil jumped hard because the Strait of Hormuz stayed shut after President Trump rejected Iran's latest offer. Asian markets felt that tension immediately. European futures followed with their own nervous twitch. And yet here we sit on a Monday morning with the S&P kissing levels we haven't seen in a while. Something shifted overnight. Here's why it matters to every one of us in this community. You know what the big boys did while retail was offline? They leaned into the chaos in the Middle East, but they didn't run for the exits. Bitcoin pushed higher again. Gold held firm above 4,700. Even crude climbed on those supply fears. The weekend headlines painted pictures of fresh geopolitical headaches. Iran sending responses through back channels. Aramco's CEO warning of a long oil disruption. Drones and ceasefire talk bouncing between capitals. Yet the tone this morning doesn't feel like pure panic. It feels like calculated positioning, the kind that separates the institutions from the noise. That's exactly why you tune in. Because the big media is already spinning a different story. CNBC will tell you this is all about inflation surprises and whether Cathie Wood is right, that Wall Street has it backwards. They'll talk about the Warshera and rate hike risk coming back like some boogeyman. They'll flash headlines about gold holding strong and whether inflation will stall this AI-driven rally. But here's what's really happening, folks. The media loves to feed you fear because fear keeps eyeballs glued and keeps you second-guessing every move. They benefit when you panic and sell at the wrong time. We don't play that game. What the talking heads won't tell you is that the term structure is still in contango. Normal market behavior. VIX futures in carry. That tells us the smart money expects volatility to stay contained near term, even with these headlines. That's favorable for what we do. Contango is our quiet friend on mornings like this. It means the market isn't pricing in Armageddon. It's pricing in chop and uncertainty we can trade around. Now let's talk about the geopolitical landscape, because this week the board we're playing on just got more interesting. We've got CPI numbers coming. Those are the prints that could change everything. Consumer sentiment data. Inflation. Reads that Wall Street is watching like hawks. Add in fresh noise from Iran, Trump policy ripples, and whispers about leadership challenges overseas that are already lifting borrowing costs in Britain. War-hit travel companies warning about delayed bookings. Off-plan home sales in England and Wales hitting 12-year lows. Even energy deals like E.ON buying OVO to become Britain's largest supplier. All of it feeds into the same question. How much fragility is really baked into the system? Remember what we've talked about before, the fragility curve. Systems get more fragile as they grow larger. Each new layer of complexity adds stress instead of stability. That's what the big institutions don't want you thinking about while they're busy positioning ahead of these inflation numbers. But we see it. That's why our methodology exists. That's why we built the Adaptive Layered VIX Hedge, ALVH, our first of a kind multi-time frame VIX call hedging strategy that layers protection across short, medium, and long-dated contracts. It cuts portfolio drawdowns by 35 to 40% in high volatility periods at an annual cost of only 1 to 2% of account value. Beautiful thing is, it doesn't care what the headlines scream. It just does its job. And speaking of our methodology, let's talk about today's setup. The signal from our Rapid Skew AI engine is clear. RSAI, our proprietary real-time signal engine that reads the options skew, the implied volatility surface, and short-term VIX momentum in milliseconds. All entry gates passed. VIX 17.2. That's elevated but still below 20. So we are in place mode today. Our iron condors are built exactly for days like this. Days where the news flow wants to scare you. But the math says the range is tradable. VIX at 17.2. Elevated but still below 20. Conservative tier is green. Safe to place. Balanced is yellow. Tradable, but size down if you are cautious. Aggressive is yellow. Tradable with extra caution. Now, some of you might be wondering about the expected daily range indicator, our custom EDR tool that blends short-term implied volatility with historical moves to forecast the likely daily price band. Today, the EDR entry gate didn't fully line up the way we like. That's the sanity check that kept us honest. This is exactly why we have these gates. Every hold signal we respect is capital we protect. Discipline isn't sexy on a Monday morning, but it's what separates this community from the retail crowd that gets chopped up by every headline. When the data isn't clean, we sit on our hands. Simple as that. Our RSAI verified signals are locked in, and the tiers are live. We listen to the engine. We don't override it with hope. This is why we're here, folks. This is why we built this. You can't talk to your family about iron condors expiring tomorrow. Your coworkers don't understand ALVH layering or the temporal theta martingale recovery mechanics, but we do. We're the insiders. While everyone else is guessing what the Fed might do or whether Trumpflation is driving consumer fears higher, we're following a tested methodology that's been refined over 20 years. We knew weekends like this could bring Middle East tension and inflation jitters. We prepared anyway. That's the tribal edge. That's what makes us different. The big media gives you bad data and then blames you when you lose. We exist, so you don't have to listen to them anymore. And let me hit you with something you probably didn't hear anywhere else this weekend. While the financial press obsesses over crypto week ahead and whether Bitcoin breaking resistance means broad risk on sentiment that could compress the VIX, very few are talking about what falling off plan home sales in England and Wales really signal. 12-year lows, consumers turning cost conscious, travel companies warning about choppy waters from war fears. These are the slow burn pressures that don't make for flashy TV segments, but they matter for volatility traders like us. They tell us the real economy is breathing a little heavier. That means our iron condors need to respect the edges even more. That's the unexpected observation this morning. The stuff beneath the headlines that confirms why our adaptive layered VIX hedge stays ready even on place days. Here's what we're watching as the week unfolds. We're watching how those CPI numbers land because they could swing the VIX fast. A surprise to the downside like Cathie Wood is predicting would be one thing. But if we get hotter than expected prints, that could flip us into caution mode in a hurry. Watch the bond market reaction. Watch whether oil keeps climbing on those Hormuz concerns, or if diplomacy talk cools it off. Watch gold. That 4,700 level isn't just a number, it's a psychological anchor. And of course, watch our own VIX momentum. What spike would flip us from place to hold? A clean close inside the expected range confirms everything we're doing here. I want you to go into this week with confidence, not because the news is perfect, but because our methodology is built for imperfect news. Our iron condors don't need perfect days. They need disciplined days. And that's what we deliver together. And be sure to listen for any breaking news from Miss Vicky. These signals and insights are for educational purposes only and are not financial advice. Past performance is not indicative of future results. This is VixShield, your daily protection against market uncertainty.